Hey there, I wanted to jump on and just make a quick video about medicine and mediumship. So I'm talking about medicine work, and maybe you're involved in medicine work. Maybe you've been going to some ceremonies or experiencing working with medicines on your own. And maybe you're even a facilitator. And one of the things that I see that comes up a lot is the lack of awareness and education around a mediumship in medicine work. So talking about engaging with the spiritual planes through the physical body. And so this might show up for people. We often see it, and we often accept it when someone says, oh, I had a vision of my dead brother or mother, or grandfather, or I had a vision of an angel or a guide or myself from a past life or something like that. Like we sort of accept that and go, okay, great. You're interacting with the spiritual planes, and that's what this work is about. Yet when other forms of mediumship start to happen to people in medicine space, it's surprising sometimes the lack of education, information, firsthand experience that many practitioners have with mediumship, their acceptance of it as even a thing that happens, their ability to recognize it, their ability to help people integrate it, and all of the problems that that can cause. So some people are naturally more designed towards mediumship. I will say that it is a human function, that as a human being, we are capable of mediumship and channeling, connecting to the spiritual realms and receiving information in some kind of way. And we tend to have an easier time accepting, oh, I'm getting something, I have a feeling, I have an understanding, or even sometimes I'm getting a message, I'm receiving a download, right? We hear these things a lot. And so we have an understanding of that. But when the physical body starts to get involved, it can freak us out. And this often happens. And in the medicine world, when we take entheogenic medicines, we take plant medicines, it opens us up. It opens up our psychic energetic bodies, and it opens our channel. And some of us begin to interact with the spiritual realms in a way that we've never thought of before. We've never seen in real life, or even, maybe in a crazy movie where it's a scary movie. So the only context that we have for incorporated trance style mediumship, so a spirit interacting with the body in the way where it's either actually coming inside and being incorporated in incorporated mediumship, or it is interacting with what could be called this perispirit, the sort of liquid body that is interacting with the spiritual realms. It's interacting with us and causing movement in the body, causing trembling, shaking movements where you feel like my arms are moving of their own accord, or something is moving my hand. And so depending on how this is happening, it can be frightening, confusing, overwhelming, and it can bring up a lot of questions and can also put us in a very challenging space of integration, especially if we don't have a medicine practitioner and facilitator who understands this and understands how to guide us through the integration of this. And for the most part, when I talk to people who've had these experiences and they're opening up to new levels and forms of mediumship, they don't have guides and teachers that can really support them. And oftentimes these things can feel scary, because when you're interacting with a spiritual being in this way, you're very open, and this being is coming in close contact with you. So its vibrational, energy field is coming in contact with yours. It is actually shifting and changing your vibration. It is changing aspects of you in order to interact with you in this way. It in incorporated mediumship, as this being is coming in, it's actually interacting with your nervous system. So your electrical system is changing. Your electrical system is, you could say, that you've been operating at a certain voltage, and now it's coming in and it's trying to plug in something of this higher voltage. And your nervous system is trying to integrate and interact with this. And so that can cause strange shaking and movement. It can cause changes in the breath, even to stop breathing for a while. It can cause grotesque changes in the face, or it can cause, if there are other people in the space, they might witness you as your face changing, shape-shifting into another being, looking completely different. This can freak other people out. And then if you see someone else freaking out over you, or they're trying to help you or save you from your experience, and you're like, I'm not sure why you're trying to save me, but that can freak you out. And then everybody's freaked out. It also can start to happen, and the facilitator, who maybe if you're in a circle that's needs, like, the structure of the circle is that we are silent and we are still. And when someone is experiencing mediumship, it's not necessarily silent and still, especially as it first comes on, there might not feel like there's a lot of control over it at the beginning. And so it can cause sounds to come out. It can cause movement to happen. And you might be shamed. You might be, really like forced to stop what you're doing, or even taken from the circle, maybe put into isolation or kicked out onto the mud. That can happen. Like, all of these things can happen, and that can create a trauma around your mediumship, because here you are surrendering and opening to something, maybe for the first time ever. And now you're being judged, you're being shamed, you're being ostracized, you're being abandoned. And I've seen people go through this and have a really hard time with how to integrate this. Or maybe you're having this experience and, you ask your facilitator about it, and they're like, oh, well, that's just the medicine. And that's not really a full answer. Maybe either because they don't have the answer, or they've been trained to be sort of ambiguous and vague about spiritual and energetic situations that are happening in the medicine, I guess, to encourage you just to figure it all out on your own. So maybe their teacher didn't know about it, right? In our medicine circles, a lot of times, even though we are acknowledging that we're having a spiritual experience, we're acknowledging that we're praying and calling in guides and, doing all of these spiritual things, there still can be a disconnect in the circle or with the facilitator that these other spiritual things happen. And so it can be something that causes a lot of internal conflict and questioning and what's going on and what's happening. It also can be frightening because there's a lot of unknown to it, right? It is something that you're surrendering to, and you don't know what's on the other side because you haven't experienced it yet. And as it's interacting with your nervous system, with your physical body, you can have physical experiences that feel quite intense. Like my heart, I'm going to have a heart attack. My heart is going to explode. I'm sweating profusely. I'm trembling and shaking. I'm going to knock the teeth out of my head. I'm whatever it is. It can be quite intense. And usually over time, as you integrate and work with this, it becomes more natural and normal for you. You understand it more. There's less fear. There's less shutting it down. There's less back and forth. Over time, if you have a particular being that's trying to come in and work with you, it's learning you and you're learning it. And you're interacting together, and over time you're forming a more cohesive relationship over time, so that your vibration and their vibration is becoming more of a suitable match. Now, let's talk about what happens when we start shifting and changing our vibration suddenly. And some of us are doing a lot of different medicines and a lot of different medicine work. And we're tinkering with our different psychic bodies, our energy bodies. Like, we're getting in and we're digging around in a lot of different aspects of ourselves. Now, when you add some mediumship into that, and you're shifting your vibration, you're having this being come into your field, perhaps into your actual body. It is like having a Drano. It's like having a Roto-Rooter come into your system, and it will start to dredge and drain and pull up to the surface lower level frequency aspects of your being. So then you can maybe experience afterwards some significant effects of memories, flashbacks, old trauma coming up, feelings and sensations maybe you haven't felt for a long time, like, oh, wow, when I was really sad and depressed when I was a teenager, and I'm feeling that again all of a sudden, or I'm having this memory of this thing that happened to me when I was younger, or something maybe I've forgotten about. All of these things can start to come up, and they can come up quickly. And this is why it's so important to have a good system of support to help you when you're coming out of this work, and to ask and to find out, like, if you're going to medicine work, like, is there any integration work after that? Is the facilitator there to support you? Is there anybody that you can talk to? Do you personally have a support system? Do you have a therapist, an energy worker, a shaman, somebody on your team that you can reach out to if you reach a crisis point? And hopefully before you go into super crisis point, that you can start to get some reflection and information that's actually helping and supporting you. So there's a lot there, right? We also have to look at the effects that this has on the physical body, and how do you integrate that with your regular life? Because there's a lot of you that are going to ceremonies on the weekend, sometimes every month going to a ceremony. You spend all of this time in this super intense experience, and then you're like back at work Monday morning. And the physical body, it takes a lot out of the physical body. I have a video also, I believe it's called What They Don't Tell You About Ayahuasca. It really goes into some of the things that you need to know. So check that one out. Oftentimes, if this kind of mediumship starts to occur for you, then your physical body needs so much support. It's going to need more sleep. Sometimes you can't sleep, but rest. It's going to need practices. You're going to need to be reminding yourself you're in your body. You're going to need to be closing yourself down, closing down your channel, clearing the back of your head, the back of your neck, clearing your body, tapping really strongly after these experiences into your body, squatting on the earth, breathing earth energy up into your body and then down back into the earth, reconnecting into your bioform in a very strong way, being clear that you are in charge of this vessel, that you are running this vessel, and you are in control of this vessel. And, working on your boundaries and these pieces that are so important when we start engaging with the spiritual planes. And sometimes you really are going to need to uptake your food. Like, you're going to need a lot more food. You cannot judge yourself about your food. And sometimes you really need to eat things that are a lot more grounding, a lot more substantial. If you're just like, oh, I'm, just juicing and being a vegan, sometimes that's not what your body needs at this time. It takes a lot of energy to recuperate from the beginnings of mediumship. It gets easier over time, and you start to integrate it more easily. But this is a serious thing that is happening to a lot of people. And so if you're in medicine ceremony, things start to happen to you. You start to feel really like these weird sensations, weird things are happening to your face, your hands, these sounds are coming out, like you feel like there's something there, like you're getting the awareness that this is what's happening, even if nobody's talking about it and nobody is telling you about it. I'm telling you about it now. And it's important to be educated about these things, because a lot of times we step into medicine work because we want to heal or because we're curious and we want to know more about ourselves and the other realms. And when we start opening to the other realms, it's a beautiful, magical thing, and we can transform so quickly. But without the right context, without the right support, we can in some ways traumatize ourselves. We can shut down. We become very overwhelmed by the level of change and transformation that's happening as we seek to figure out how to be a new person all of a sudden in a world that actually hasn't changed much. And then, our journey, of course, as we're this new person, then our world starts changing too. So it's a beautiful journey to be on, but because the focus on medicine is so intense right now, everybody's doing medicine, and pretty much no matter what your problem is, if you go on the internet and are like, I have a problem with this, I'm having a mental health issue, a physical health issue, a spiritual issue, whatever, somebody is going to look very educated because they're very spiritual and they are super shiny and they have all the right memes and the things to say. And they're going to say that medicine is the answer. And medicine is an ally. Medicine is, these are entities that we are having relationships with, that we are learning with, that we are discovering ourselves with in communication with them, but they're not the answer. And there's a lot of other work that goes into this kind of work. A lot of other work that you need support around, a lot of other work that's involved. And this is just one tiny piece. And it's something that not a lot of people are talking about. So if this is something that's going on for you, love to hear about it in the comments, or maybe what your experience has been trying to integrate this into your life as you've been going to medicine circles or working in this world. I'll probably drop in the text here, maybe some other links and resources for you to keep exploring what this might mean for you. All right. Many blessings, and I will talk to you soon.